WCIC Radio presents The Truth Denied, Talk Radio, with your host, Roxy Lopez, where truth never lies. If you would like to speak with Roxy on the air, the call-in number is 347-327-9997. Here she is, your host, Roxy Lopez.
Welcome to the Truth Denied Talk Radio. Today is Friday, September 16th. It's high noon in the Arizona desert, and I'm Roxy Lopez. I'll be your host today. Our guest is Morgellons sufferer Caroline Carter, who is a qualified CAM practitioner and experienced alternative health therapist. Caroline's path includes working as a biologist in the pharmaceutical industry, and before moving to Cyprus, Caroline worked for 4 years alongside doctors in India, discovering ozone therapies in the process. And today, Caroline's practice, which is called Healthy Healing, and for any of you who are listening that want to go to the website now, it's healthyhealingcy.com, www.healthyhealingcy.com. And Healthy Healing includes ozone therapy. Caroline's here today to openly discuss Morgellons disease, how to heal it up. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce you to Caroline Carter. Welcome to the show, Caroline.
Thank you, Roxy.
We'll get right into this. There is a big debate surrounding the subject of Morgellons, anywhere from it doesn't exist to it's psychotic behavior, just an absolute number of controversies. And I know that I have been putting your work on the website for quite some time now, so you have helped me to study the disease as well. What, in your opinion, is Morgellons disease? Is it real, or is it what is it?
Absolutely, Roxy, and there's no doubt that Morgellons is real. And I would ask anybody that says it's psychotic or delusional parasitosis to perhaps take a look at the work of Victor Sarkozy. Victor Sarkozy is a professor of molecular and cell biology at Stony Brook University in New York. He's a world authority on genetic modification of cells. Now then, Sarkozy's team took a scanning electron microscope pictures of Morgellons fibers that were, at the time, extruding from the skin of patients suffering from Morgellons. The scanning scope confirmed these were unlike any natural fiber or synthetic fiber known to our technology. Basically, these are fibers. They seem to be cellulose on the outside. Now, this is where the controversy has come in. People saying they've got cellulose fibers coming out their skin. Mm-hmm. But under Sarkozy's scanning electron microscope, you can actually see what they are. They are rocks. These are rocks, and they are covered with a cellulose outer coating. Now, one of them, we've got one here made of calcite, another one made of alumina rock, and various ribbon-like cylindrical and faceted fibres all coated with minerals. Now, these stab through the skin of patients, anywhere on the epidermis they come through, and you can imagine tiny little rocks stabbing at you from the inside. They hurt. They burn like hell. So if anybody wants to deny that that there is a disease out there, Morgellons is the wrong term for it. It's genetically modified organism, Roxy. I think they've left the term Morgellons there because it just doesn't sound like anything. If you started calling it what it was, a genetically modified organism, people might, stand back and take more notice of it. We all know what they're doing with our food, the usual suspects, with their genetically modified seeds and feed for the animals. There's one important thing with this. Every Morgellons patient that Cytovsky. It's spelled Citovsky. That's this professor. All the Morgellons patients who had these fibres coming through them also tested positive for agrobacterium, which is in all genetically modified foods or seeds. It's used when they're first messing about with seeds, let's say that, when they're genetically modified, agrobacterium is used. Now, every Morgellons patient he tested positive for that. Needless to say, he was told not to do any more work because he was going to have his money pulled, so he only did a little bit of work, and now you can't get hold of him. His work is still on the web for those who wish to find it.
I hear that, that's common, and you did teach me early on about GMO, and you really preferred that it be called GMOD, which is genetically modified organism disease, correct?
That's correct.
And,
yes.
It's interesting that you're talking about just the doctors. Here in the U.S., I don't know if there's a website called Morgellons Disease, and it's headed by a gal named Tricia Springstead, who's an RN. Mm-hmm. And she's been at the front lines here in the USA fighting for advocates for Morgellons. Yeah, and she's been fighting.
Yeah.
She's been fighting the AMA, the FDA, the CDC, congressmen, senators, you name it. And then, of course, all they come up with was what you mentioned, unexplained dermopathy, which just
means skin problem.
Exactly. It's just a fancy word for skin problems. Exactly. Yeah. And a $360 million grant went to Kaiser Permanente to study this. And doctors in the USA are not allowed to treat Morgellons patients. They're in danger of losing their licenses, even if they attempt to treat a Morgellons patient. Hence, there's a few things that I'm seeing with the people that contact me. Is not only it's like they're ostracized from society.
People don't want to face it either, Roxy, because first of all they're concerned they might catch it off of a person with Morgellons. People who think they haven't got it will be pretty surprised. I'd be very surprised if less than 70% of people on this planet do not have it.
Now, where is your testing as far as I know that there were some statistics that seem to be growing in number. When you're testing, what are you finding in Cyprus?
Well, I found 3 out of 4 children had these fibres. But now, what you must understand, that none of them showed any symptoms of Morgellons. They came to me for different reasons. I just decided to take hair tests because I found a way of finding who has these fibres in their hair, or who actually has these fibres. We can test hair. I just run a little culture, and within a couple of hours, if you've got the fibres out, they come out of the hair. I've even found them in horses' tail hair. This is not just affecting humans, it's affecting life on this planet.
No, that's just unbelievable. This is because species don't generally carry the same diseases, but as we saw with mad cow disease, right?
That's right, yeah.
It jumps species to the human species. So, that's a big concern.
It is, yes.
The other question I have, what was I thinking? With the hair, and the children aren't showing any outward signs of Morgellons. What are the symptoms for Morgellons?
Oh, they're so wide and varied, Roxy. Brain fog is normally one of the first ones. Brain fog, trouble communicating your words. You get your words mixed up a lot.
So does it start there before it has outward signs on the body?
Yes, I think it does, yes. Get short-term memory loss. Thought processing becomes difficult. Mood disorders, lack of interest in things that normally interest you. That's just in the brain and personality side. In the body side, your hair gets stiff and brittle and dry. You'd notice different hairs coming out of your skin, wiry ones, little wiry hairs growing out of your skin. Small globs of clear sticky glue turn up on the skin and coat the hair shafts. There's just, you can get itchy ears is one that we come across quite a lot. Motile fibres are moving about inside. Lots of mucus, there's a lot of mucus, a lot of lung problems, congestion, sinuses always draining. On my website I've got a list of about 100 symptoms. The main thing that people are aware of is the crawling feeling on the skin, like invisible bugs, pinching, biting, stinging, prickling on the skin. It's absolutely horrendous. You can feel this all day long, day in, day out, day in, every waking hour. When you're under attack, every waking hour, you feel these pinching and biting.
Underneath the skin?
Yes, well, because you can't see anything on the skin, and you know it's happening, so therefore it's coming from under the skin. It's as if these rocks in their cellular coating are crawling across the nervous system just under the skin. The pain is...
Being that, can you describe, we have quite a few of your photos under the microscope, and there's 3 colors of strands that are growing. Can you describe those colors and which one do not come from really nowhere in the genetic coding of any animal or species here on Earth?
Roxy. You've got... brilliant pinks. Now these are really vibrant colours, and the thing is, all of them have got, say, reds, blacks, blues. The blues are most common. Whatever these are, they don't stain. They're gram-negative. They don't pick up any white stain. Staining is just a normal process when you're putting something, doing microscope work. We can put them in acid. They don't melt. They keep their colour. We put them in H2O2. That's rocket fuel. It will strip, it strips the colour out of everything. But these fibres keep their colour. They're it's unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah, it is, and it almost sounds like I remember when I first discovered the disease, I couldn't even wrap my mind around it because I was looking at your work. And, you had some depth to the work, and it was hard at that time a couple of years ago. It was very hard to find any information on Morgellons disease other than symptomatic symptoms that people were experiencing. And I've actually gone to some Morgellons blogs just to read about what people are suffering. And you are describing, the array of what they're suffering with. Yeah. Absolutely. And what do you think of this statement, that hypertoxicity of GMOs, mercury, toluene, benzyls, artificial preservatives are all contributing factors to Morgellons?
Yes, I think they are, Roxy. All these toxins they're spraying us with the chemtrails. They're all in the chemtrails. All these toxins. I think basically these Morgellons are fusing with our DNA. Is that they're horizontally gene transferring into us.
So would you say also that this is an environmental disease, or would you say this is something else? Because it sounds kind of scary when you just use that phrasing, that it's fusing with the human DNA. Is it changing our DNA?
It is, yes. It is changing our DNA, absolutely, yes. And I do not believe it's an accident of the environment, no. In 1982, there's a patent in the Patents Office. They put in, for genetic modification of clouds, they altered the morning dew, in other words, the morning precipitation. I always get a tongue twister on that one. The dew in the morning, they added a compound to it known as DMSO, dimethyl sulfoxide. Now then, I use dimethyl sulfoxide, Roxy. We use it on tumours to carry things like silver colloidal and that into a tumour. When you put DMSO on the human skin, whatever, and I mean whatever, if it's an insect or any bit of plastic, whatever goes on top of that DMSO on the skin goes straight into the cells. Now, why would you want to make clouds? Why would you want to genetically alter the clouds to carry this compound. So people go out in the early morning dew, they get this on them. Whatever goes on them next, especially if they're gardeners, is likely to be insect life. And that will go straight into the human cell. It's a carrier. DMSO is a carrier.
A carrier. What does DMSO stand for?
Dimethyl sulfoxide. But if you type in DMSO, this is been used a lot for healing, but once again, the powers that be banned it. It's a banned substance for most people. We can still use it here in the States. There's a lot of controversy over it because it is a great healing. It's a great healing medicine. It could have been, but of course it was cheap. The pharmaceuticals didn't like it, so they managed to ban it. But why put this in the early morning cloud? Why put this in the
That
early
would
morning
be the
dew?
question of the year, wouldn't
Why?
it? Why are you genetically modifying the clouds? Well, and then we're genetically modifying the food.
Well, this was in 1982. The first known Morgellons victim was a young boy, wasn't it? 1984. It's very close. The dates are pretty close. Coincidence, maybe? But
right, that's a couple of years later. Now, now have you thought any? And we will get into all the healing techniques that you are using. What has happened with your own personal life as well? I think that's going to be very inspirational for people. But we're trying to set up a background here, and to sort of give people an education. And I'm learning something from you right now. So the genetically modified artificial clouds that they were creating and injecting into the clouds. I've read some controversy as well. Clifford Carnicom is talking about they altered the plasma field over 10 years ago of this planet.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
All right, and hence he agrees with your theories that it's altering the blood as well.
Yes, I see that. When I was having a bad attack, I looked at my own blood, and the cell walls were completely broken down. The blood is in a bad state, yeah.
Now, okay, so this would be the big question, and somebody did ask this a few days ago, and they had some information for me on it. I'm still going through it. Is any specific generation or human or animal or what have you being targeted? And if not, if it's the whole of humanity that's being targeted, why are some people exhibiting the symptoms or having actual breakouts and so forth, and why are some people not at all exhibiting symptoms?
We don't know why. We're considering that some people have got a stronger immune system. I think, Roxy, there'll be a fairly simple answer to this. It's just finding it. We don't know why some people got symptoms and some don't. I'm completely healed up, but I'm well aware I'm not cured. But you would never know that I was a Morgellons victim or had ever been one by looking at me. I completely heal, not even a tiny little spot on my skin.
That's amazing. Yeah. And let's talk about that, because I remember when I met you not long after, Jerry Neiman here in the United States was showing me pictures of some of these chem webs that were falling out, the fallout. Yeah. You remember this. And this was horrific for you. But I contacted you and you said, go ahead, send over a web, and we documented it. We documented all of that. We got that web to you. You got it in the lab. And can you talk a little bit about what happened? Because that was just absolutely shocking.
Yes, when it arrived.
I mean, really.
I masked up and gloved up before I touched it.
Mm-hmm.
But I get a bit lazy, Roxy. I was sitting and doing things with the web for hours, putting it in different solutions, and only tiny bit, about 100 microns at a time. Perhaps I should have changed my mask more. I don't know. All I do know is that they were Morgellons fibres in that web. Now, that surprised me because I've always thought that in the web we had more like a fungus. I expected it to be a fungus. I didn't expect to see fibres grow out of it. And I was quite horrified when I did. They're not visible to the human eye, of course, but I have various things on the stage at different times. Just on the slide, you can't hardly see anything, but naturally the scope can. And I was absolutely horrified at what I saw in that web, knowing that Jerry's handled it especially.
Mhm.
I've been working on it a couple of days, I suppose, filmed bits and pieces. A lot of the web I destroyed. A lot of it got destroyed. Some of it I put back in the box to take up to our environmental minister, which we did. Within 2 days, I started getting cold sores around the top of my lip. Cold sores aren't something that I suffer from. And something told me it was to do. I just knew the feeling really, Roxy. And I thought, oh, this is okay. I've learnt to regress this now, and I know what to do. So basically, I called my one of my healers, my pranic healer. He came within 2 days. It was starting to move further up the face, and it wasn't healing at all. I went and saw a lady who works with bioresonance. She's got a bioresonance computer, and it was her who I believe had regressed the fibres, or cured me, made me better the first time. So I went up there, but for a whole month it just got worse and worse. I couldn't go out the house. Thick glue was oozing out of all the pores, every pore on my face. I ended up with my face was like a rock. You know, like you put a really hard face back on and you can't move your face.
Yes.
That's what my face was like, and I looked like
I
a burn
remember.
victim. Yeah, but it was just a thick, like coating of super glue. I had to drink through a straw. I couldn't eat because I couldn't move my mouth enough to eat. It was horrific. There was one night I had to sleep more or less sitting up in bed because all the glue would roll in my mouth. One night I felt it. I jumped up in bed. It had covered my nostrils in. It had covered my mouth in, and my eyes were stuck together. You can't imagine that feeling. I really felt that it was trying to kill me.
Yes, and I remember.
Couldn't have done really because you would naturally open your mouth and breathe, but when my lips were covered with the glue, and it's pretty horrific. And that was
that
for about 6 weeks.
Oh, you said, you even had said, it feels like I'm dying.
Yeah, I thought I was. I actually didn't think I was going to pull round. I really didn't.
And now, needless to say, you won't test a chem web anymore, correct?
Probably not.
Probably not. She's like, hold off on the chem web.
Yeah.
But I know that you were also testing, doing hair samples too, and I appreciate that. At one point you were saying, send in hair samples.
I was, yeah, but I had to stop it. I had to keep it out of my psyche for quite a while.
Yes, and that's exactly where I'm going. Talk about that. Share that with us. What
yes,
happened?
I had to completely keep it out of my psyche. I use pranic healing, which is a form of energy healing, offhand healing, quantum, picks up. You're talking about quantum, angels, all this type of healing, and it works. That's the only thing that's worked for me. No normal treatment works. No, then.
Whatever normal is, no antibiotics and all the rest of it.
Yeah, nothing like that works, even vitamin therapy, nothing like that. I've got a natural clinic and we do really well. I've got about an 80% cure rate. This was a case of Dr. Hill myself and it wasn't working. The only thing that was working was the energy healing.
And that's astounding to me too, that you've made that so evident to yourself, that the pranic healing is.
Yes, because I've always been very left brain, Roxy. In all honesty, when I came across it, I actually didn't believe in it. It took 3 goes of being cured with pranic healing before I believed it. And that's
there you go.
Yeah.
Well, and when it happens to yourself, then you're thinking, okay. And I think that again, you and I've had this talk. We're in a paradigm shift, and the old ways and old ways of thinking don't really work. We're actually, I believe, being activated. That junk DNA inside of us is being activated, and we're getting to another level of comprehension and deeper meaning to our lives. And of course, pranic healing would work. Of course,
Yes,
it would
I've
work.
no doubt it does. Now I can almost, if I start to have an outbreak, I can just touch my face and call on my angels, call on my pranic healer. He speaks to his angels, or whatever you want to call it, the field, the cosmos, and I can regress myself back down.
Which is absolutely well, it's very self-empowering, isn't it?
It really is. Yes, this is why I'm bringing the girl over from England on the 27th. I could not have done that a few months ago because being close to another person with Morgellons sets them off. In other words,
that's what I was going to ask you. Can we speak on that a little bit? And we'll talk about the gal too. Now, does that make Morgellons a contagious disease?
No, I don't think it's contagious in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
That if you haven't got it and I come up to you, you'll get it. But how it is contagious is that people who are aware that they've got it, and maybe, let's call it remission, whatever you want to call it,
mm-hmm.
if they come close to somebody who's got a bad outbreak of it, they work on quorum sensing the Morgellons, and it seems as if they can sense them in another body, and it starts it up. I visited a client last week. I took her over taken over some parasite tincture, but she's got it pretty bad. But she hasn't got it on her skin at all. She's got it inside, and she does crystals. She plays with crystals, does a bit of crystal healing. I spent about half an hour with her, and she's really bad again now. She's probably picked up on what's inside. Mine have started her off again. But I'm fine. It hasn't affected me.
Now, and is that, I'm no biologist, but I mean, is that something unusual? I mean, does this? I know that we've also spoken about like it has an electromagnetic pulse to it.
Yeah.
I mean, how is it communicate? Obviously, it's communicating through an energetic field or a pulse. How?
Yes,
right.
Well, there's lots of bacteria that actually use that. Many species of bacteria use quorum sensing. Basically, when one knows, the whole lot know. It's how to describe it. It's all to do with the way the molecules work.
Did you call it quorum sensing?
Yeah, quorum sensing. Quorum.
Mm-hmm. I think I know what you're saying. It's kind of like the one bad apple spoils the whole bunch.
Yes, it is. Yeah. The Morgellons learn very quick. Yeah. If you do something to them on one side of your face, it's all over your face. Mm-hmm. If you find something that might get some of the glue off, shall we say, before you've got that off, or within a minute of getting that off, you won't be able to use the same substance we was using. I can't remember. Some substance we was using. Me and one of the girls here who's got it, and we could get it. It was we could scrub the glue off the face, which isn't easy to do. We try and scrub it the other side, but they'd already learned, and it wouldn't work on the other side. Things only work for minutes with Morgellons. Physical things. This is why we have to use energy healing. They can't beat energy. We are energy, and we are stronger once we know it.
Right. And then you also did some work on oxygen versus non-oxygen.
Yes.
Right. Can you explain how Morgellons fibers react to pure oxygen as opposed to no oxygen?
Well, this is the problem with them. They live quite happily without oxygen. They thrive, but they also massively proliferate in oxygen, which is something that is unheard of. Even cancer cells do not live when they're surrounded by oxygen. But the Morgellons actually seem to... It loved it. I actually put myself in oxygen baths because I'm an ozone therapist, and as far as I was concerned, up until I came face to face with Morgellons, that ozone would heal anything, more or less anything. So I popped myself in the ozone bath, and lo and behold, what came out of me? Just bunches and bunches of Morgellons out of every bit of my body, apart from my face that time. my legs and my whole middle torso, is because I activated them with oxygen. There's one thing I did notice, though. They're in fungal form. I believe they're in fungal form in the blood. That's where they start.
Mm-hmm.
That I'd activated them with the oxygen at such a rate that, how can we say it, they committed suicide.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they tied themselves up with knots, and then my body could eject them. So when they come out of my body, they were actually dead, most of them.
Wow.
Yeah, but I wouldn't recommend anybody to do it. I was very lucky because I worked with it. MDs recommended.
So they multiplied heavily, and then they got overpopulated that they killed themselves and came out.
They tied themselves in knots, basically. All their ends were blasted. You could see with the microscope.
Unbelievable. But it's not so. But you figured out that it wasn't the ozone therapy or the oxygen that killed them. It multiplied them to a place where they couldn't survive. They got overpopulated and killed themselves. Commit suicide.
Something like waste in the interior. In science, there's a process of waste in the interior, where you bring on something so fast that it wraps itself up in itself, basically. Now, then that's what we've done. So I got them out of my body, and then it was amazing because I'd been itching for 3 years without knowing what it was, and I had the most enormous relief because they were all out. So I thought, but you never get them all out because we're breathing them in all the time. Where they're spraying all the time, we're still breathing the spores or whatever they are in. So my body was soon reinfected.
Well, they're in the air, the nanospores. I mean, it's just you can't escape breathing the air outside now, can you? And there really is no mask that you can wear that's going to stop, that I know of, that's going to stop these nanofibers from entering your lungs.
There isn't, Roxy, but I'm just testing something at the moment. A week ago, I got a phone call from a rather interesting young man in the States, Andrew Norton Webber. He's an artist. Mm-hmm. And he's done a lot of work on distilled water.
Yes.
And he sent me a lot of information. And so, for the past week, I've been drinking a gallon of distilled water a day because distilled water removes inorganic substances from the body. Now then, these rocks and silicas and cellulose, they're inorganic. Sorry, not the cellulose, the rocks and minerals that seem to be the centre of these Morgellons are inorganic. So I'm just theorising that maybe if I drink distilled water for a couple of months, it will drag these rocks out of the body. Now, where are the rocks coming from? Perhaps they're coming in our water supply.
Right.
In the first place. Yes. Now then, people will tell you it's dangerous to drink distilled water because it leaches minerals. That's rubbish. It won't leach anything from the cells in the body. We need a different type of mineral. We don't eat rocks. Human beings don't eat rocks. Plants eat rocks, absorb rocks, and we eat plants. That's how we absorb our minerals. When we see minerals have been put in water, that's just advertising gimmicks. We don't want these minerals in the water. Our body won't accept them. So therefore, by drinking distilled water, we can hopefully clean our body.
You can flush it out.
Absolutely, yeah. So I'm looking at my blood daily. I'm feeling very, very good. I've only been doing it for a week. I'm feeling exceedingly well.
Excellent.
I'm sweating a lot, which is good. There's lots of parasites and things coming out in my sweat.
Are there really?
Yeah, I zap as well. I've got various zappers.
I was going to ask you, what is zapping?
Zapping, if you look up Dr. Hulda Clark, she worked out all frequencies of parasites, not Morgellons though, let's face it, the normal parasites that inhabit human body.
Did you say Dr. Hildegard?
Yeah, Hulda, Hulda.
I've got it. Okay, go ahead.
Amazing woman, absolutely amazing woman. She worked out all the frequencies of the parasites and then invented just a little machine where you hold two little handles and the frequency of all these parasites is fed back through the body and it kills them off. Yeah.
Kind of like a bug zapper.
It's like a bug zapper that goes through the body, yes. But it can't get the ones in the organs, but everything in the blood My blood is absolutely amazing this week since tapping and drinking this distilled water. Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? Just from the distilled water, and you're saying that the distilled water does not leach the good minerals from the human body.
No, it can't take minerals from out inside the cell. It can't.
Okay. And where do you get distilled water? Is it at a regular grocery store, or where do you get it?
No, you buy a water distiller, and we've got one here. I paid about €130. You probably pay about $200, $150, $200 for a good one. You just plug it in and put all your water through it.
Oh, you can make distilled water yourself?
Yes, it's just like...
I did not know this.
Yes, just have a look up for a water distiller. It's just like a big...
that's something for everyone to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And then, I do have a question while we are on the subject of water. What do you think of reverse osmosis systems? Are they good or bad?
I think they're good, except the filter. You must really regularly change the filter depending on what one it is. It won't be quite as good as distilled. Not
as quite as good, but because the controversy in RO is the same thing, that an RO system takes all minerals out of the water, and I use an RO system because I have to.
Yeah, but we don't need the minerals from water. We get them from our vegetables.
Okay. And then speaking of vegetables, as far as do you grow your own food, Caroline?
I haven't this year. Up until this year, yes, we had. But I do have sources where I get it. People where we live, there's a lot of homegrown stuff going on. We do get homegrown stuff. It's just I've been too busy this year, Roxy.
I understand. And that's the same thing in Hawaii. In Hawaii, there's a lot of, everybody grows, organic, if you want to say.
Well, have you seen what's happening there?
What's that?
Have you seen what's happening in Hawaii?
With gardening.
We must have with the film with the trees, the bark falling off the trees.
Oh yes, it goes on. That's not just Hawaii that's happening. I've actually got a few leaves this year in Arizona that I need to take in because something's happening to certain types of trees right now, and all of my, not to get off on a tangent here, but all of my birds and all their babies all died this year.
Well, that's what happened in the UK when I believe I contracted the Morgellons. All the trees died within the space of a couple of days. A certain type of tree, the evergreen trees, all died now. They're all covered in this webby substance, which I had to go out and look at.
That's exactly what my trees and some of my flowers were. I had to pull them all out because they were covered in a fungus-like web, and I thought it was just like overwatering or something.
No.
Oh God!
Probably come out the sky.
Okay, all right. Well, wow, I need to. Well, I've got some stuff that I'm going to be taking in to have it analyzed. We'll see what they come up with, and they're probably not going to tell me the truth anyway. But I thought I'd do it anyway. That seems to be the problem, that everywhere we turn, including the
We're not getting the truth, Roxy. We're not going to get the truth. It's going to be down to individual, very small people like myself. There's lots of us out there working on this. For instance, this distilled water. I do believe that the elite who are behind all this and are well aware of what's going on have a way of protecting themselves.
Yeah, because that keeps coming up in why aren't they afraid for their families and their kids? So you think they might have an antidote?
Yes, but I don't think it necessarily be an antidote, Roxy. I think it's going to be something very simple. For a start, everybody, the majority of people, not everybody I've tested, every female anyway, have all got subclinical hypothyroidism, which means they're low, not necessarily deep hypothyroidism where you go with TS and T3 or thyroxine, but they're all lacking iodine. Now then, they need to top up on iodine. Morgellons hates iodine. I've had it under that scope time and time again, and they cannot stand iodine. Why, for the last 20 years, have they been taking iodine out of all the foods that we take, replacing it with bromine, which actually strips your iodine levels lower? It's going to be something simple that they're doing, whether they're keeping up on their iodine, they're not using genetically modified food, they will have good food, they perhaps are drinking distilled water. It's going to be a combination of something quite simple, Roxy. I don't believe they've got an antidote, no. I just think they know how to look after their health.
But did they create? But that's the big question as well. Did they create this?
I don't think there's much doubt it's been created, Roxy. It's crossed the species barrier. It looks like it's been, it's
manufactured.
No way can rocks crawl around on their own without the hand of man behind it in some lab somewhere, or in many labs, NASA.
Well, and then the other question that I would have, and I go back and forth on this, but are they trying to kill us?
I don't believe so. I don't believe they're trying to kill us, Roxy. I've got one little theory, which is where I've gone from being left brain to a bit too far right brain, maybe. 2012 coming. Mm-hmm. We don't know what's going to happen in 2012. I think they've got a deep fear of it. Maybe they know more than we know. Who knows? But I do think they're planning something for 2012. They've got all their underground cities and bunkers. Now then, if they go down there and there's only a little catastrophe up here, they're not going to be wanting to come in the face of people, are they? They're going to want to be able to track the people who are still alive if something goes down.
If indeed something goes down, and then there's the other side of that, and you and I were talking about that the other night, which is, Project Bluebeam scenario, where the entire thing is, orchestrated. Because if you think about it, in 2012, I mean, we're coming to the end of, apparently, it's not just the end of a Maya calendar, it's the end of a time here, and I think that it's very possibly, I've seen it in my own life for quite a few years now, where we evolve, a quantum leap, if you will.
There is a quantum leap, yes.
I think
we
so,
do.
too. Everything's quantum now, and
yes, it is,
why not the human species, take that leap? And I think that with that in mind, I think that I agree with you. I've never saw all of this chemtrails, GMO, the whole thing as a genocidal type of thing. I've seen it more of
control track.
Yeah. It's and then there is a new world order agenda, and we are at stake. I mean, that's pretty much in place, and politicians around the world are speaking out of the side of their neck, and we all know that. There's no truth to what they're saying, right? And so in the big picture of it all, I feel that the fear that has been created, the fear will keep people in denial.
Yes, it will do. And they need to come out of denial, especially with this Morgellons. It's frequency activated. We know it's frequency activated. Any of them Gwen towers or these cell towers, they can set it off as they wish. There won't be any rising by the masses if they turn these cell towers on and all fibres and worms start coming out of their bodies, I can assure you.
Unbelievable. Now, and yes, I've known about the frequency activation because we studied that, and you studied the web, and it was just mind-blowing. Now, with the information, with that all of that information, I know that your Healthy Healing Services tab on your website, we talk about live blood analysis, pulsed magnetic therapy. What is pulsed magnetic therapy?
Pulsed magnetic therapy, we have a 6,500 Gauss magnet which is run on the electric. We just run it through the body, and it is a pain reliever. It's good. It is a very good pain reliever, but it doesn't heal anything, Roxy. It's just a very good pain reliever. If somebody's got a broken arm, it'll encourage healing quicker. People come. My own clients who already come to me, I've never had any new clients for it. But if my clients come here and they're getting their ozone treatment and they've got a fracture or something, I'll give them a bit of pulse magnetic therapy, and it helps with the pain while it heals. And
I've done that before, and it does work. It's a really strange thing how that works, but I understand how it works. Now, what about the ozone therapy itself? What exactly is that part of the activated oxygen treatments, or is this?
It is activated oxygen. Yeah, okay. Ozone is just really super oxygen. Oxygen's got two isotopes, is O2, and we break it down to O3, and we feed it into the body in various ways. And I think in 1932, Otto Warburg got the Nobel Prize twice actually, for discovering the cause of cancer, which is lack of oxygen at cellular level. So the idea is we realise all disease now stems from lack of oxygen at cellular level. It puts the pH balance out, and that's where disease starts. With live blood analysis, we can see disease 2 or 3 years before the body actually shows symptoms of disease. But ozone is absolutely amazing. I've treated ME, CFS, chronic fatigue syndrome, that is, fibromyalgia. Within 5 weeks, I can get people back to work. It's absolutely marvellous. Just getting the oxygen in, get it right in them organs, right in that body. Pain, you get out a lot of rubbish. Cleanse, one go, completely cleanse the lymphatic system. That's by using it in the oxygen bath. It's a box. We put you in the box with your head out the top and feed steam in it to open the epidermis, and then put the ozone into the box, and the body absorbs it all. Body loves oxygen. There's nothing the body likes more than oxygen, Roxy.
My goodness, that's the new goal.
Lease of life. We say it's a new lease of life. Yes. I think it's banned mostly in the States. In the UK, it's been very difficult. We just got a big machine into one of the clinics there. Clinic I've got an interest in. One go on this machine, Roxy.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Caroline.
Yeah, one go on this machine in the UK can or has reduced an enlarged heart by 450 grams. Conventional medicine will say that cannot be done, but it's been done. There's a video of it actually on my website. Man done that in Malaysia, but we've just brought this machine to the UK. It is now available in the UK.
And why would an oxygen machine be banned? Why would it be banned?
In the US, for years they hate it over there because it cures. You can't patent it. There's no patent allowed. It's oxygen.
Well, it's so interesting that you're saying this, because I remember in Seattle, I don't know, about 10 years ago, I don't know whatever happened to it, but they were opening up what they were calling oxygen bars. And that's okay. They're sort of everywhere, yes. But this is ozone. Gotcha.
Ozone cures. That's the difference.
Okay, right.
Oxygen isn't strong enough. Yeah, you need that third isotope. And that drags out all the rubbish all the rubbish that's in the system. Cancer cells can't live when they're surrounded by oxygen. Right.
And you just you have another video regarding cancer, the breast cancer. Did you want to speak on that at all?
Yes, that is just a natural herb. That was put together by a man in the US there. He was kidnapped, actually, and slung in jail. They slung him in jail for making that. That's a herb he made available. It was curing cancer in the US. We use it here. 1 month, within under a month, we can remove breast tumours, cancerous breast tumours, with a herb, and we can heal it. Anybody who wants to go on my website, you'll see the breast tumour that we removed within under a month, and the whole healed. The wound was healed in less than a week with ozone. Ozone stimulates regrowth, encourages regrowth. Yeah, we can do that. We can remove moles. We can remove all tumours from the outside. Yeah, and it's simple and it's cheap.
That's what I was just going to say. You're reading my mind. These are inexpensive ways that not only make you really feel better, go to the root issue and heal it. Yes, exactly, yes. We took the tumour out. Despite taking out the tumour, the client still has the underlying condition, which is metabolic one. So you still have to carry on treating that. She's fine now. But if she had been in hospital and had chemo or whatever they want to take your tumour away with, if they get the tumour, they consider it a success. They don't go on to tell you that you've still got the underlying cause. The tumour is just about a symptom of a metabolic disorder. And that's what you have to treat. This is why people seldom live over 5 years when they have conventional medicine. But how expensive is conventional medicine? It's thousands to get tumours removed and treated. That little bit, you know what that costs, that breast removal, that tumour? $100. See, that's what I'm talking about, and how wonderful for that. And you're right, and unfortunately, wow, this is fascinating to me, because now I do want to talk about all that I've been learning in regards to cancer, but we are running out of time. We've only got a few 10 minutes left. So, let's just pop back into your side of the world. You're also doing reflexology, color healing, lymphatic massage, and people need to get on your website. And these prices. It is a doctor visit here is $150 just to show up to the doctor to have them say hello to you. And look, you're already walking in, and you're already walking into the office, and
I realize that. Yeah,
you can get. I'm coming down because you can get like 6 or 7 or 8 treatments. For under $100. I mean, this is crazy. Yeah.
But when I started this, I wasn't a poor person, Roxy. I'd done my study in India. I wanted to bring to Cyprus healing that people couldn't afford. Now, I realised it wasn't something they were used to, so you attract them, first of all, these fairly cheap prices. And nearly all my work now is word of mouth. I'm busy all day long, every day. So, although I'm not so well off now, as you know, it doesn't matter. My business is doing good, and my prices are good. And people, the main thing is people get healed. We heal. We don't regress, we heal. It's a no-no word, I know, but it's one that we use because it's an accurate one.
Yes, and you've learned a lot about that as well. And we're all learning that the focus, and, if you're anything like me, and I know you pretty well, we tend to be these warrior women who put our foot down and say no to the government, and we're going to do this, and it's all about. And so we have this ability, and at the same time, we also have. I'm very grateful for the shaman and the Native Americans in my life that took the time with me over the years. Yes. And basically, I'm supposed to put the shield down and get out of anger and get into love because we are in such a crazy manifestation time right now.
We are. We're manifesting big time.
Yeah. And
if you say something, and the next day it's likely to happen.
And if you're anything like me, well, like you said, when you were working with the pranic healing and everything, it took you 3 times to actually, come to Jesus, so to speak, And same thing here. I'm fighting my old way of behavior, and what is working. You're absolutely right. Yes. I can watch a 2-minute video with some wonderful meditative music, and it will change the way I'm feeling and thinking almost instantly.
That's what we've got to do. Morgellons, let me tell you just one thing here, Roxy, before we go.
Yes.
Morgellons is attracted by negativity. It understands, Morgellons somehow reads our mind, and the more depressed we are, the worse the manifestation of it.
Is that right?
There's no doubt about that in my mind. It somehow reads our minds and makes our worst fears come true. It really can.
I'm glad you said something about that. So it's like a magnet to those.
Depression is a magnet for Morgellons, yes. You've got to raise the vibration. Just thank God for what you've got. Thank the universe and play that nice uplifting music, And as soon as you start to get down, you'll get the itchings and they'll start coming out.
Well, that's excellent that you've said that, because you are specifically talking to people who are now broke, have lost their jobs, they don't have the money. So in raising your vibration is something that is free to do. That is free to do. Absolutely. Well, we'll have to get you on the show another time to go in more depth about all of this. For those who are listening, again, you need to go to Caroline Carter's website, healthyhealingcy.com, and Caroline is also on Facebook. She has a group called Ozone Therapy Cyprus. That's CYPRUS. And we'll get you your email and so forth onto the video. We'll do a video today of this show, launch it to YouTube. I'll also get a copy of that to you, Caroline. Is that okay?
That's lovely, and I hope you come over and see us soon, Roxy.
Oh, I'm coming over. I'm already working in the background on
that
documentary. So you're the hero here, and thank you for even taking the time tonight. I know it's very late and you need to go to bed. So Caroline Carter, thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Roxy. Good night. God bless now.
Good night. God bless.
Bye-bye.
And that was Caroline. And wow, what full of information. She has always been the warrior type woman. She just she won't stop until they stop, and we say that a lot around here. We will not stop till they stop. So in light of what she was saying about chemtrails and this genetically modified altered clouds starting in 82, we're going to have Mike Murphy on the show next week. And by the way, we need to thank the GIC for allowing us to do this show one more time. You know, they've given me this platform because I am a volunteer, and so they've given it to me. I do not pay one dime for this platform. The GIC pays for it through contributions. So when you're thinking about it, please contribute to the GIC, even if it's $1 or $2, or once a month. They have once a month for like $3.99 or whatever. They're paying for us to be on the airwaves, and they're a nonprofit as well. But this Monday, speaking of GIC, the Just Bernard Show is going to have Megalithomania. That's a good one. Megalithomania. Hugh Newman, and he'll be discussing the ancient sacred sites and monoliths in the USA. That is going to be awesome. Next week on The Truth Denied, we're going to have Michael Murphy. He's in Maui. He's been there for a few weeks, and he's going to tell us what's going on in Maui with that blue sky that we're trying to get back, but Blue Sky Ordinance is what I'm referring to. Our website is up and booming. We are still updating new content on the website. And I want to thank no names. I am not allowed to mention any names of the gentlemen. I gave it away. It is gentlemen. So it is males. It's 2 gentlemen who have been working on the truthdenied.com site. It is exploding, and we just thank them for getting us back together. Because it was really going down. My blog went down, my Facebook went down. You all know this, and the website. So we're back up and running again. I'm in a grateful mood right now. I want to thank Caroline Carter again from Cyprus, who is on the forefront and will not stop until they stop. This has been a wonderful Friday. You have a great weekend. This is The Truth Denied. I'm Roxy Lopez. Love and aloha to you. Includes ozone therapy. Carolyn's here today to openly discuss Morgellons disease, how to heal it up. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce you to Caroline Carter. Welcome to the show, Caroline.
Thank you, Roxy.
We'll get right into this. There is a big debate surrounding the subject of Morgellons, anywhere from it doesn't exist to its psychotic behavior, just an absolute number of controversies. And I know that I have been putting your work on the website for quite some time now, so you have helped me to study the disease as well. What, in your opinion, is Morgellons disease? Is it real, or is it what is it?
Absolutely, Roxy. There's no doubt that Morgellons is real, and I would ask anybody that says it's psychotic or delusional parasitosis to perhaps take a look at the work of Victor Sarkozy. Victor Sarkozy is a professor of molecular and cell biology at Stony Brook University in New York. He's a world authority on genetic modification of cells. Now then, Sarkozy's team took a scanning electron microscope pictures of Morgellons fibres that were, at the time, extruding from the skin of patients suffering from Morgellons. The scanning scope confirmed these were unlike in all genetically modified foods or seeds. It's used when they're first messing about disease, let's say that, when they're genetically modifying Agrobacterium is used. Now, every Morgellons patient he tested positive for that. Needless to say, he was told not to do any more work because he was going to have his money pulled, so he only did a little bit of work, and now you can't get hold of him. His work is still on the web for those who wish to find it.
I hear that, that's common, and you did teach me early on about GMO, and you really preferred that it be called GMOD, which is genetically modified organism disease, correct?
That's correct.
And,
yes.
It's interesting that you're talking about just the doctors. Here in the U.S., I don't know if there's a website called Morgellons Disease, and it's headed by a gal named Tricia Springstead, who's an RN. Mm-hmm. And she's been at the front lines here in the USA fighting for advocates for Morgellons. Yeah, and she's been fighting. She's been fighting the AMA, the FDA, the CDC, congressmen, senators, you name it. And then, of course, all they come up with was what you mentioned, unexplained dermopathy, which
just means skin problem.
Exactly. It's just a fancy word for skin problems. Exactly. Yeah. And a $360 million grant went to Kaiser Permanente to study this. And doctors in the USA are not allowed to treat Morgellons patients. They're not, and they're in danger of losing their licenses, even if they attempt to treat a Morgellons patient. Hence, there's a few things that I'm seeing with the people that contact me. Is not only it's like they're ostracized from society.
People don't want to face it either, Roxy, because first of all they're concerned they might catch it off of a Morgellons person with Morgellons. People who think they haven't got it will be pretty surprised. I'd be very surprised if less than 70% of people on this planet do not have it.
Now, where is your testing as far as, I know that there were some statistics that seem to be growing in number. When you're testing, what are you finding in Cyprus?
Well, I found 3 out of 4 children had these fibres. But now, what you must understand, that none of them showed any symptoms of Morgellons. They came to me for different reasons. I just decided to take hair tests because I found a way of finding who has these fibres in their hair, or who actually has these fibres. We can test hair. I just run a little culture, and within a couple of hours, if you've got the fibres out, they come out of the hair. I've even found them in the horse's tail hair. This is not just affecting humans, it's affecting life on this planet.
No, that's just unbelievable. This is because species don't generally carry the same diseases, but as we saw with mad cow disease, right?
That's right, yeah.
It jumped species to the human species. So, that's a big concern.
It is, yes.
The other question I have, what was I thinking? With the hair, and the children aren't showing any outward signs of Morgellons. What are the symptoms of
Radio presents The Truth Denied, Talk Radio, with your host, Roxy Lopez, where truth never lies. If you would like to speak with Roxy on the air, the call-in number is 347-327-9997. Here she is, your host, Roxy Lopez.
and I Talk Radio. Today is Friday, September 16th. It's high noon in the Arizona desert, and I'm Roxy Lopez. I'll be your host today. Our guest is Morgellons sufferer Caroline Carter, who is a qualified CAM practitioner and experienced alternative health therapist. Caroline's path includes working as a biologist in the pharmaceutical industry, and before moving to Cyprus, Caroline worked for 4 years alongside doctors in India, discovering ozone therapies in the process. And today, Caroline's practice, which is called Healthy Healing, and for any of you who are listening that want to go to the website now, it's healthyhealingcy.com, www.healthyhealingcy.com. And healthy healing includes...
Like any natural fibre or synthetic fibre that's known to our technology. Basically, these are fibres. They seem to be cellulose on the outside. Now, this is where the controversy has come in. People saying they've got cellulose fibres coming out their skin.
Mm-hmm.
But under Sarkozy's scanning electron microscope, you can actually see what they are. They are rocks. These are rocks, and they are covered with a cellulose outer coating. Now, one of them, we've got one here made of calcite, another one made of alumina rock, and various ribbon-like cylindrical and faceted fibres, all coated with minerals. Now, these stab through the skin of patients, anywhere on the epidermis they come through, and you can imagine tiny little rocks stabbing at you from the inside. They hurt. They burn like hell. So if anybody wants to deny that Morgellons patient, that there is a disease out there, Morgellons is a wrong term for it. It's genetically modified organism, Roxy. I think they've left the term Morgellons there because it just doesn't sound like anything. If you started calling it what it was, a genetically modified organism, people might, stand back and take more notice of it. We all know what they're doing with our food, the usual suspects, with their genetically modified seeds and feed for the animals. There's one important thing with this. Every Morgellons patient, that Cytovsky, it's spelled Citovsky, that's this professor, all the Morgellons patients who had these fibres coming through them also tested positive for agrobacterium, which is